Welcome back to another episode of RNT Fitness Radio, and today I'm joined by one of the members of our RNT family, Dhilon Solanki. When it comes to transforming your body, it's often thought that there's only one way, one time frame, and one path. But what Dhilon's transformation really highlights is how it's exactly the opposite. You can only run your own race, and everyone's journey will be different. In Dhilon's case, his best results actually came on what's come to known as his second wave. In 2017, he first came to us with a goal of getting a six-pack by Christmas. But after failing to address his why, he didn't experience much change and struggled to find his groove. A few months later, Dhilon came back with a vengeance, and this time embraced the lifestyle and knew what he wanted to achieve here. He regained control of his day, channeled all his energy into this challenge, and completely transformed both his body and life. Physically, he finally got the six-pack he wanted, and mentally, everything changed. You'll hear about the many benefits he's experienced in this episode, but what struck out to me most was his ability to now use his transformation challenge as a springboard to push himself out of his comfort zone in all areas of life. Dhilon's now deep in investment phase and is learning more about his body every day. He's continuing to also build a real lifestyle solution that will allow him to be fit and healthy for life. I hope you enjoy this one.
Yeah, so before I started RNT, I think there was a lot of things that I didn't do. Some natural things, in life that you probably expect to do, or, in terms of me time. A lot of people talk about me time, and I never really did any me time whatsoever. I think it's quite important. So there's lots of, areas, gym. I never used to go to the gym. I never used to really exercise. I don't really watch what I ate. I never really portion controlled as such. So it was very much a case of, just live my life as I normally do, as most people do really. And I'm not really conscious about what they're eating to a certain extent, or, if they haven't gone to the gym or they've not really exercised, say, okay, I'll do it. And never really had that structure really. And especially when I was running my own business, I had the restaurant and bar business for about 3 years, but I've always worked in hospitality anyway. So I've always worked late nights, erratic hours, weekends, 6-7 days a week. So there's never really been any structure. So when it comes to food, diet and training, it's almost inconsistent. You'll eat what you can grab, on the go. You never really have any structure in terms of going to the gym, or if you do, or if you have a chance of doing some sort of exercise, it'll be very much inconsistent or irregular. So there's no real pattern. So there's no consistency to try and drive or achieve any results on the back of it, really, to be honest. So it'll be very much ad hoc.
Yeah.
So I think, I needed that. And especially when I had my own business, working 7 days a week, going through, every single emotion you can think of, managing to spin so many different plates, managing staff and managing to make sure the restaurant was running, the bar was running, so there's so much to it, so many, as a case, spinning, a number of different plates. So I never really had any time for myself, not even for my family, unfortunately. My son had just been born when I'd launched the business. So for the first 3 years of his life, unfortunately, I never really saw him grow up, which I still regret to this day, but I'm more than making up for that now, which is fantastic. I'm spending a huge amount of time with friends and family, and my son and my wife. But I think the process of when I come on to talk about RNT has allowed me to do that, which previously I hadn't. So running the business for, 3 years, takes a lot out of you, takes a lot of energy out of you. And I think going into the last year, of my business, and knowing that we were going to sell the business, it was that year that I thought, right, I really want to try and transform myself really, and try and have some almost structure in my day, because I think I cannot live like this, the way I'm living in terms of my diet and my training for the rest of my life, because I know there has been previously in my history of family of heart attacks, whatever the case may be, or not looking after yourself, or high cholesterol, or high diabetes, whatever the case may be. So I thought, if I don't look after myself now, then I never will. So I think initially when I saw RNT post the post with Sharm, I saw his images, his transformation, and I thought, that's sick. I want that body. Do you know what I mean? You see, I want that six. I want those pecs, basically. Not knowing that really that was not going to be the reason why I wanted to do the transformation. But initially, it was very much the physical. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to look like. how do I sign up? How do I go about doing that? And obviously I heard about yourself, Akash, and RNT. And I thought, let me give you a shout and let's see what happens really. So obviously I started it off, and for me it was a complete role reversal, complete change. And this is the first time I took on, some sort of structure in terms of going into the gym 3 to 4 times a week, and also having a diet to stick to. And I've never really had any diets, or never done any diets whatsoever in my life. When people talk about I'm on a diet or I'm on this diet or that, I've never done any of that really, to be honest. If I want to eat it, I'll eat it. If I don't, I won't. It's very much a case of, as it comes. So this was, a real transformation for the first 4 to 6 weeks. Really hard for me, in terms of making sure that I was portion controlled, that I was eating consistently, similar foods. And it was tough, it was tough, and I cheated, a few times. And I think I mentioned to you that I had a chocolate bar here or a packet of crisps there, because it was hard. I made sure I got my steps in. I made sure that I did go to the gym, but it was the food element that I found very, very difficult. And it's purely the fact that I've got a huge passion for food. I am a foodie. I've been in the food business for a huge amount of time, you see. So for me, it was very difficult to almost, to get food out of my head and to have a structured food plan. And the weekends are probably the most difficult for me, Saturday, Sunday. How do I, not have a curry, or how do I not go to, have an Indian or a pizza, whatever the case may be. So the weekends are probably the most difficult for me, because they're probably the most sociable, as part of your, week.
So let's just pause for a second.
Like a rabbit.
And let's just take it back a bit.
Okay.
And let's go back to why you first got into it. And I know you mentioned a couple of things there where you felt like you were completely lost in your business.
Yes.
That you lost all sense of me time.
Yes.
What was the trigger when you were so far deep into your business?
Yeah. That
pulled you out and thought, okay, I need to sort myself out here?
I think it was probably a number of factors. I could see that I had no structure. I wasn't really focused on the business, and that was probably because of business pressures from how the business was performing. Not that it was performing badly, but we'd got involved with another partner, which didn't go according to plan, unfortunately. We all then, I'm sure everyone is aware of that, I ran Pecking Order, and we had Nando's that had opened 5 doors away from us in Stanmore, and I'd openly say that certainly hurt us. I'd be lying if I said it hadn't. But it was a successful business, until it opened. But we had the fortunate opportunity to open at Barnet Football Club, to open a second site, which is fantastic, although that was probably not the best decision, because we got involved with another partner that now to this day we still were friends, but it may have not been the right decision. It may have been a hasty decision, but that's kind of water under the bridge, and you kind of learn from your experiences, and I have no regrets whatsoever. And certainly, it's something that I'll look to do in the future. But for me, it was a number of factors. So business pressures, I think not having a structure, 7 days, it was very much a case of me working in the restaurant, if I had to be around, late nights, then I'd wake up in the morning, maybe at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, because I was so tired from the night before, certainly on the weekends. So I had no structure whatsoever. And I thought, I cannot sustain this lifestyle 7 days a week, for the rest of my life. It will not happen. And I think it was whether it would be a light bulb moment or what, I don't know, but it was in the summer, and I think I'd seen what was happening on social, with obviously RNT and a few people I'd spoken to, and I thought maybe this might be the opportunity or the outlet for me to put some structure, but I didn't know whether it would be the right route or not. I don't know, but I didn't know, where else to look at, and I know, I knew that if obviously I sell the business, I'm going to have to look at having some sort of other structure in terms of, making money or building another business or going to work and doing some consultancy or whatever the case may be. So I knew I had to have some sort of, I knew I needed to have a plan B or plan C. But for me, I neglected my health. I neglected, my me time, also, and my family, as I alluded to earlier. So it was a case of trying to put some structure. And I think that was almost the trigger to say, right, let's give this a shot, as an opportunity to put some sort of normality into my life, really.
And this is the time frame you're referring to is the summer of 2017.
Correct. Yes.
So
that's
it
right.
was almost when you first came on board, and you mentioned earlier that you had 4 to 6 weeks that went really well, and then things started kind of break down and fall apart.
That's right.
And we've got a name for you in the company. You're called you're known as Mr. Second Wave. And we wrote a whole article about it because I think you must have said we must have been talking on your second wave about how the second time's been so great. But before we talk about that, and before we talk about why you became known as Mr. Second Wave, why did the first time that you tried to change your body and transform, why did that break down? And what happened there?
I just don't think I had a strong enough, I don't think I had the will. I don't think I had the will. I don't think I had this. I know we discussed and we talk about, what your why was, and that kind of drives you to making sure you achieve your ambition and your goals. But I think I was also still in that volatility stage. When I came up my business, I still wasn't 100% focused in terms of what I wanted to do, and I think because of that, I wasn't focused in my own, in terms of what I was doing with work, what I would do post selling the business. I didn't really have any structure from that perspective, you see. So I kind of got lost within everything, really. So I think I didn't probably take it as serious as I probably should have done. So I think because I wasn't focused, that's probably the reason why I lost really the momentum.
So essentially, you came out of the business.
Yeah.
You at the time you wanted to transform. You're still in the business.
Yes.
You realized you needed structure. The business then got sold.
Sure.
You started the transformation and you realized you need to regain the structure, but you still didn't have the ducks went in a row for you to.
Yeah, they weren't.
Or like you knew your why. It was strong enough, but it probably wasn't at the forefront yet, and maybe you hadn't really linked it to the body yet. You thought that the why could be solved by finding another business or finding something else, when really you just needed to work on yourself. Or
I think because
is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I think I did neglect me and myself, my friends and my family over that period, really. So that kind of really got neglected. So it was a case of I do need to focus on myself, but I think because that wasn't my priority, I think my priority almost became, right, what is my next step in life, in terms of career or, a business or whatever the case may be. You see, so that almost fell, even though initially, yes, it was that's what I want to do. It almost fell, a second or third place because of the fact that I needed, that became almost my priority, in terms of I need to now go and fend for myself now. I've sold the business. I need to make sure that, I can look after my family almost.
Yeah.
Not that I never, wasn't confident. So I always backed myself, and I've always backed myself, with good friends and family around me. But the fact that was that uncertainty almost gave me uncertainty in terms of my training. That I thought actually I can live with what I'm doing at the moment. If I'm not as consistent as I should be, I'm still doing some level of exercise or some level of eating. So it's better than what I've been doing previously for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But to get those true results and really to get that cut through from a lifestyle perspective, I didn't get that. And only really on my second wave did I really get it in terms of why I'm actually doing this. And really, I will come to talk to how it kind of transformed.
Yeah, it's a difficult kind of paradox you live in as a business owner, or when you're someone in business, or you just performing at a high level where the business is going fast.
Sure.
In that it's relentless.
Yeah, it is.
It's easy to forget.
Yeah.
And I've spoken about it in previous podcasts about how it's easy to get lost in your business, even if and it usually comes from when you're so passionate about it.
Sure.
And you love it so much that you often forget to fend for yourself.
Absolutely.
And forget to take care of yourself. So
absolutely.
I completely understand where you're coming from there.
Of course. And if you don't look after yourself and you don't, without your health and, to making sure that your mind is focused, then everything almost falls down, really. So that almost has to be your priority. And I think almost everything then becomes a byproduct and falls on the back of that, really. And I think that's what I lacked. And I lacked that focus. I lacked that almost ultimate aim and vision in terms of what I wanted to try and achieve going into that transformation. And I think that's the reason why it fell down. But it taught me a lot. It taught me, the basics in terms of portion and control and making sure to exercise on a regular basis. So at least I had some level of understanding of, making sure that I am, I need to be fit. I need to eat in the right way and healthy and a variety of and different types of food. and be consistent with that. So I certainly took, something away from it. It wasn't a lost cause whatsoever. But I think when I came onto my second wave, I was a lot more, aware of and what to expect really more than anything else.
So let's talk about the period between realizing that you hadn't worked on yourself enough to be able to do that first transformation, and then coming for the second wave. What changed then?
Good question. What changed? I think I was able to get back to normality when I came out of the business. I think for me it was important that I could spend some good time with some friends and family, my wife and son. So that's quite nice. It kind of put me back to normality. I started doing some consultancy as well. So really just to get back to normal life, really, rather than having to worry about if my chef turned up or, whatever the case may be, which was bane of my lives, believe you me, absolute nightmare, to be honest. But, that's part and parcel of the game. That comes with the territory, to be honest. So it was just nice just to not have that worry, having to worry, what's happening at the restaurant when I'm not there, what's happening on the weekend. So a lot of those stresses were removed. So getting back to normality. And then I wanted to see whether I can put some sort of additional structure into my life. And even though I was doing the consultancy and spending time with my family, it was great, it was fantastic. But I still needed that additional push or challenge, and it's a challenge what I love, if I've always said in life, if it's not going to challenge me, then there's almost no point doing it, really. So I wanted to challenge myself, and I thought, how can I challenge myself? I could go back into another business, but I thought it wasn't the right time. The economy, obviously, pretty unstable. Not saying that I won't do it again, but I thought it wasn't the right time. I just came out of a big process, so I wanted to get back to some sort of normality, but I needed some sort of structure. I needed some sort of challenge. And then I re-looked at RNT again, and then obviously I was thinking why it didn't happen the first time round, and sorry, my phone, and why is it not possible? Is it possible for me to do it the second time? And I spoke to my wife, I spoke to my son, and from what you could understand from what I was saying, to be honest with you, only being 4 years old, and so look, I really want to do this. It's going to give me another challenge. It's going to impact family life naturally, because I'm really going to just close myself off for the next 3 months. I'm probably going to be the most boringest of persons, because I'm going to try and make sure that I don't go overboard or mad or start drinking or whatever the case may be. I'm going to be sensible with it. Although I did learn later on down the line that you can manage those habits
we'll talk about that,
through the process as well, because you've got to live, you've got to have a life, and it's got to be sustainable as well. But I said, I'm going to give it another shot, but this time it's all in or forget about it almost. Tunnel vision. Even though I went through the process the first time and had a number of friends saying, Rag, you're losing weight. I did lose a lot of weight, and I lost a lot of weight in a short space of time, even to extent that, Dhilon, you look, you look ill. Do you know what I mean? You see, so I think also at that time I was also taking advice or listening to other people and what they were saying as well, and saying, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Or, your trainer, is he recommending you the right type of food or the amount of food, whatever the case may be. So I think it was also a case of, too many cooks and listening to what other people said and almost taking that into account.
Was it the first time or the second time?
The first time.
The first time, okay.
Yes, and that's why I think the second time round, it was almost a case of, I have to listen to Akash, I have to listen to, what RNT is saying, but almost trust the process. And for me, that was the most important aspect of it. And obviously through the second phase, the second part of the process, friends are great and only telling you for their own good, so it's not malicious in any way. But I think it's a case of, all your friends all of a sudden become, experts in PTing, out of the woodworks. I didn't know you were a PT. I didn't know how much you should be eating this, that, and the other. Do you know what I mean? You see, so, but I laugh, you laugh it off in what the case maybe. But I thought, right, I've got to have tunnel vision this time. It's got to be, I've got to keep my eye on the prize, as I like to say, and I'm going to knuckle down and really, yes, initially it was about the physical. But when I started the process, and as I started going through the process, it changed a lot of my habits, a lot of my lifestyle habits. And I started then to realize that actually this is not a physical transformation. This is a lifestyle change. And is this a lifestyle change that can be sustainable for the rest of my life? And that's where I am now. But going back to, where we are, 3 months in that process, in the second phase, for me, it was probably the most hardest thing I ever had to do, in terms of managing my food, prepping my food, gym 4 times a week. I was up at 5:30 every single morning. I've never been at 5:30 in the morning unless I'm going on a stag somewhere. Do you know what I mean? But consistently, 7 days a week, 5:30, get up, go and do my steps, go into town, go into the gym, quick shower, go and do some consultancy. My food had already been prepped from the night before, because I love my food, so I wouldn't batch cook like I know a lot of other RNTs do on a Sunday for the rest of the week. I always used to cook fresh the night before my lunch and dinner. And then I come back home, and I'll make sure I always walk wherever I can, whether it be steps, the elevator, the escalators. So I was averaging 10 to 12, and into the final stage up to 15K steps a week, which is great. But also that allowed me to, what he taught me when I was doing those steps, is that allowed me time. It allowed me to think, which was fantastic. I never really thought on my own and, discussed my own thoughts and talk, think about what you want to do, in life. And you think about family, you think about all sorts of, I'll be lying to say that, and then think about my mum, everything, all sorts of things come into your head. Do you know what I mean? Like, family, where you want to be in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. But for me, that was great, to have that time. And I've never really had that time, previously. So for me, it was really, really important, as part of that process.
Yeah, and talking about the second wave.
Yes.
So just for the listeners to understand,
yeah,
you had your 3-4 months where it didn't go too well. Then you had a break, came back, and then I haven't seen many people come back with the level of diligence and ruthless consistency that you had on that second wave, because not many people catch that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, once that first one goes, it's difficult to get on that second one. But you caught it and really rode it.
Yeah.
And you the body fat was flying off, and all the excuses that you seem to have come up with in the previous year all disappeared.
I know. I think also, sorry.
You're just a new man. Like your whole level of mindset and approach to everything was so different. Before it was, can I eat a chocolate bar? Or I've cheated on the weekend. And you were that typical nightmare client.
Yeah, of course. I know,
who said you every update form was like, yeah, followed everything, but my weight's not gone down. Yeah. And I was like, really?
Yeah, I think.
But the next time, it was just a completely different person.
Yeah, I think in my life, I was a lot more happier because I was a little more relaxed. Where I was, where I wanted to be. What I was looking to do in the future with regards to work and family life. So I think I was a lot more relaxed, and because I was a lot more relaxed, I could focus and have my focus on that one area of my life that I really neglected over the previous years. Certainly in the last 2 or 3 years, and certainly in the first wave that I tried to accomplish, which I failed really miserably when you think about it. Went down like a lead balloon. But so I thought a second time round, there's no way that I'm going to give up, and I think through that process, it taught me a lot about, lifestyle. I started reading books, and listening to and to other podcasts and reading books as well, in terms of how entrepreneurs have structured their day, in terms of getting up really early in the morning and having a structure, in terms of food and diet plan. So that helped me a lot as well, massively, and I tried to then start to relate that to my own life. So that for me was great. So it wasn't very much just, the physical. I started, reading a lot more. I used to, when I used to go out to eat, I used to be a lot more diligent in terms of what I was eating. I never used to eat greens. I used to hate peas, and sugar snaps and, you name it. If it was green, I wouldn't touch it. Do you know what I mean? Now, if it's green, I want to eat it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You see, so I always make sure in every meal that I have, I've got some level of greens in there. I never really used to eat any fruit. So I became a lot more knowledgeable about food and how food affects your body and the nutrients that you need. So for me, that was quite powerful as well, to be honest. And then I started, transferring those, elements to my son and to my wife as well, which was great to kind of feed off that as well. Because, okay, yes, my wife eats reasonably healthy and so does my son. But, to try and instill that into them as well, it was fantastic as well. So they could feed off, what I was going through. Because obviously on a Friday and Saturday night when we used to be social and go out for dinner, I would try and reduce the number of time we were going out, purely to the fact I wanted to make sure that I was on this plan and be regimented on this plan. So we would eat at home. So what I would eat almost, my wife would eat and my son would eat as well. So that was quite nice as well to kind of educate them as well. And now to this day, we still do that. Although, we still go out, because we love going out as a family. But like you say, and like you always allude to, it's more about the social element about that as well, to go out, and enjoy yourself rather than just going out and just binging, binge eating almost. Although sometimes I have done that because, I do love my food, but you just got to have a balance really, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think the second time around, it was really, I think I really had a strong why in terms of, I want to do this, I want to accomplish this. This is my challenge. This is what I'm going to set myself. I had no real stresses around me that could affect that really. So I was in a good place, and I was in a good mindset. So it was a case of, I want to have a fantastic body. I want to have a great lifestyle in terms of having a structure in my day, in terms of what I want to achieve, every day. It gives me that me time to think about what my to-do list is for that day, for that week, for that month, for the next 3 months or 6 months, for example. And it gave me some really good clarity, really. And I think, I always listen to books, read books and listen to podcasts. And, there was a guy, because obviously I read a lot in the hospitality industry, and a guy called Roger Wade, who's the CEO of Box Park. So you probably know Box Park, the kind of pop-up food places. They've just opened one up in Wembley recently. He said, life is hard. You've got to accept it. And I think when you accept life is hard, I think you're almost there to a certain extent. So life is going to be hard. It's never easy. It's never an easy ride for anyone. But if you can start instilling some sort of processes in your life to alleviate that stress, I think life becomes a lot more easier to a certain extent. I think to manage that expectation that it's hard anyway, it's hard for the most prosperous of people, the richest of people, let alone the poorest of people. So I think life is hard in general for everyone. So if you know that, you can manage your expectations, but if you overlay that with various, protocols or processes or structure in your day, becomes even more easier to manage your life on a day-to-day basis, if that makes sense.
Yeah, very interesting way of putting it. You basically alluded to the physical providing a platform.
Yes.
And almost the foundation to make change in every other area of your life.
Absolutely, yes.
And I've been knowing you now for about 2 years. I can see the change in how you're living, and it's great to see.
Sure.
And I really love the fact that you're creating generational health as well.
Sure.
It's not just about yourself, but you're trying to instill great behaviors in your son.
Yes, yeah.
And your wife.
Sure, yeah. No, I think it's important that, I've always been a believer, and this goes back to, when I take it back to, or try and parallel it to my career as well, that every company that I've worked in, if I've gained knowledge, I will always pass that knowledge on. If I can help people, I will always help people as well. That's always been my philosophy in life, because when I was younger, I had help. And I was never afraid to ask for help. So if I can pass that knowledge on to my family and close friends, of course I'm going to do that. Why wouldn't I want to do that? Because for me, the fact that if I can see other people aspire and other people improve their lifestyle based on, the information and guidance support I've given them, for me, that's a great sight. It's like when I had my own restaurant, I had my own bars or nightclubs that I used to manage, going back 5-10 years ago, to give people that experience and to see the expression on their face that you're giving them a fantastic experience from the moment they walk in from the door to the moment they leave, it turns me on almost, it gives, not in that sense, but it gives me a buzz. And that's probably one of the reasons why I'm in the hospitality industry, because I love building relationships up, I love people, and I love giving people an experience, really.
What do you think classifies as creating a remarkable experience for a customer, client, anyone who enters your doors?
I think the fact that they've managed to change their lifestyle, I think, is fundamentally. I think
no for yourself.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
And when you open these bars and nightclubs, and you mentioned that your biggest thing is when people walk in, and you want them to have the best experience throughout their whole night or evening. What do you think makes up a great customer experience or client experience? What do you look for that makes it remarkable?
I think there's if I talk about the restaurant industry, it's slightly different to training or this scenario. But I think one fundamental commonality, I think, is support and service. I think for me that's probably the most important, because You can go to a restaurant, have fantastic food, but if you have, excuse my language, shit service, you'll never go back. Yeah. But if you have good food, fantastic service, you'll always go back, and you'll always probably tell 5 to 10 more people that it was a fantastic experience. So I think that's all based on service and hospitality and communication and support and the relationship that you have and you build with your consumers or your diners. Now, that's very similar. Now, if I look at, RNT and yourself, it was very much about support, very much about guidance and taking me through that process. I was none the wiser previously. And I think that's probably fundamentally the key aspect of anything in life, you look for is support and the guidance. So, for example, if you purchase a product, you're always going to look at the post-service. What is the service you're going to get on the back of it? So if you buy a product, if you buy into something, the service element or the post-service is just as important as the product or service that you're purchasing as well. So I think it kind of works all hand in hand. But for me, the relationship, building that strong relationship, the rapport that you can build, the ability that you can understand one another, and service, in my opinion.
That's exactly the same as us. So
yeah.
I think it applies to every industry because ultimately we're dealing with humans.
Yes.
So
yeah,
it's human psychology at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So it's very applicable.
Yeah.
Just jumping back into the lifestyle element that you've discussed. We use the first 3 to 4 months, which ended up leading to a photo shoot for you.
Yes.
So you did a photo shoot. But after that is where I think you've really made a real heaps in progress.
Yes,
because
yeah.
yes, you got lean.
Yeah.
But what you've managed to do very successfully. And
I got a 6-pack. That's what I'm happy about. So
you got a 6-pack.
Yeah.
But you've kept it.
Yeah.
You've pretty much kept it.
Yeah.
And it's been how long since the photo shoot?
I think the photo shoot was in November. Yeah. November, December. Was it November, December?
November.
Yeah.
I thought it was October.
Maybe in October. Yeah. Sorry.
October.
Yeah. Fine.
So that's now okay. We're recording this in April. So we're 7 months since the photo shoot.
Wow.
You still pretty much got abs, and we've now got your food up to a decent amount every day.
Absolutely.
And you don't feel restricted with food. You're eating out. I'm not saying every night, but you're eating out.
Yeah.
You're still enjoying your meals out where you are for work because you have a lot of client entertainment to do.
Sure.
But the key point I'm trying to drive to is you've managed to really make it a lifestyle change.
Yes, yeah.
What do you think has been the key elements in, firstly, the reverse diet process and the consolidation phase where after you got lean,
yes,
keeping it afterwards, the 6 weeks, which can be a bit
absolutely
precarious. And then after that, so let's talk about the first bit.
Yeah, I think, and I always said to myself that this first 12 weeks or 16 weeks that I'm doing this process is going to be the hardest, but to sustain it is going to be even harder. And I knew very, very quickly, I could see that the next 6 weeks post shoot, that if I don't sustain it in the next 6 to 8 weeks, I probably will not sustain it for the rest of my life. It was almost that critical. And going into the Christmas period, I said to myself, if I can manage this process up until the end of Christmas, I know then this will stick now for the rest of my life. It was almost that what I said into my, I kind of instilled really that if I can, sorry, excuse me, that's my phone. If I can manage this process for the next 8 weeks, then I think I will do it for the rest of my life then basically. And it was hard, don't get me wrong, it was hard, especially going to Christmas when I was taking out clients, when I was meeting customers, when I was going out, we had parties, all sorts of stuff. But the fact that I was able to manage that process and manage that structure, and on Boxing Day and in fact not Christmas Day, because I wasn't allowed on Christmas Day to go for my walk for the missus, but on Boxing Day I was back out again, to buffer everything that I'd eaten on Christmas Day and bang out 10, 12,000 steps. I thought to myself, okay, now this is something that's going to stick with me now, to be honest with you. And I think that's where I had that mindset that if I don't do it, I'm not going to feel right in myself, and almost throw me off balance or throw me off course. Not that I get up at 5:30 every single morning now, but I manage it. So I'm up at 6 or 6:30, but it's part of my daily routine now. And even now, to this day, if I don't go on the weekend till later on, my wife will say, when are you going for your walk? My son will say, are you going for your walk, Daddy? So they know now it's part of my life now, it's part of my lifestyle. What time are you going to the gym? It's the fact that, it's part of my, 24/7 lifestyle now, really, which has massively, dramatically helped me in my career, in my life, business, family, friends, which has been fantastic, to be honest.
That's amazing. And I really like the bit about knowing that it's going to be hard at the beginning, but knowing it's going to be even harder afterwards.
Yeah.
Because it is going to be harder. But if you can keep it together for those 6 to 8 weeks, or that time frame afterwards, then you're pretty much going to keep it for life.
Yeah, and I think there's also certain situations that happen that you identify and think, actually, I don't want to go back there again. So there was a few times post-shoot that I went for dinner and I did binge, but I felt sick after it. And there was one night, actually, that I was sick. Really? I don't think I told you, to be honest with you, but I'm telling you now, I did binge and I was sick. And there's a few other times when I'd eaten, but my stomach wasn't right, purely because I was eating so clean for such a long period of time. And I said to myself, I don't really want to feel like that. I don't want to feel like that when I wake up in the morning. I want to have a clean. But yes, you've got to live and you've got to enjoy food, absolutely, because I am a foodie. But you've got to take everything in balance. And I think that's what I said. There were other touch points as well, which helped me to identify that actually, no, this is the route that I want to take going forward. Sometimes
you've got to almost fail at it and then realize how bad it feels.
Yes.
So you don't go back to it, because I had the same sort of epiphany.
Yeah.
After a dieting phase in 2015, I think I'd gone to Breakfast Club after the shoots. Had a couple of drinks. I went for Breakfast Club. Completely overdid it with the pancakes and the sauce and all of that.
Maple syrup.
Went overboard completely. Just the sugar overload, and must have woken up in the middle of the night and felt something wasn't right. Ran to the toilet. I sat down on the toilet, had diarrhea, but midway through, had to get up, turn around, throw it up as well.
And coming out of both ends.
Both ends. Both ends.
double whammy.
And that's when I realised that this is not good. And that's when I realised I don't want to feel like that again.
Absolutely,
But you almost have to go through it to realise what the after effects are.
Yeah, I think so. And that happened to me, I still remembered it to this day. 3 of us went out and, fantastic meal, but I ate so much that I had to, I was sick, unfortunately, and I think that was certainly a turning point. And certainly, going to an Indian for curry, the spices now don't agree with me as much as they used to.
Well, maybe it's because before you didn't realise it.
Yeah, maybe,
What people find is they say that, now that I eat clean, when I eat bad, I realise it and it feels bad. But what really happens, in my opinion, is before you didn't know what was good.
Yes, correct.
So you were constantly just feeling like that was normal, that felt normal, that bloating was normal.
Yeah.
And it's only when you feel good and you know what good is that you can really notice the bad.
Absolutely. And I think
when you fail on a reverse diet, or you fail on that consolidation phase, it just heightens that level of self-awareness in yourself to know that next time, next time you don't want to do that. And I think you have to go through that learning phase to actually improve your relationship with food.
Yeah.
Because you start knowing where your limits are, knowing where your signals are.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I think it was a good learning curve, certainly post shoot, and now in April now, obviously I'm in a building phase now. I want to get bigger, and for me, yes, I want to look good, but I want to feel good as well, and that kind of helps you in your life, as you carry yourself, throughout the week, you're a lot more confident. That I wouldn't say I was never non-confident, but I think it instills that confidence that, the fact that you're able to achieve this, you can achieve anything. And I think almost that gives you that mindset of that if you really want to put your mind to it and you want to do something, you can conquer anything, really. My son says, I want to be this, I want to be that. I said, son, you can be whatever you want. As long as you put your mind to it, you work hard. People say, you've got to be lucky in life, and I was speaking to somebody not so long ago. Now, luck comes in different and various forms, but I always believe that luck happens, I think, almost when you work hard and you're prepared and when you see the opportunity. I think when you bring those together, I think that's when luck happens, because there's no journal, there's no module about how do you teach or learn luck. It doesn't exist, but I think if you work hard, consistently work hard, relentlessly work hard, and see the opportunity, I think that's when potentially luck can be created almost.
It's very
maybe being a little bit philosophical,
very wise.
Yeah, but I think, and I think that's purely the fact that because I've been reading so much, whereas before the only thing I pick up is the sun or the mirror. Do you know what I mean? And I don't mean that talking about page 3, but I never used to pick up a book. I hated reading, to be honest, which is not a good thing to say, because I think reading now has educated me so much and helped me. And I sit down with my son. I do his reading for him before he goes to bed and stuff, which is great, which is fantastic. So it's taught me lots of life habits that I never used to have, and it's given me that structure that I'm grateful for, to be honest.
Amazing. Let's now that we've come out of the reverse period, what would you say are the key strategies you're using now to make it an easy lifestyle? Because once you come out of the consolidation phase, you've got two options. You've got the pure muscle building, where you go for it with the calories, and then you got the complete opposite end of the spectrum, which is like the lifestyle where you don't really want to build any size. You just want to learn how to keep it and almost like have your cake and eat it. Which is a completely different thing. You're sort of somewhere in the middle where you want to build some size, but you also want to sort of hang on to your abs that you've kind of got, which is sort of like a middle ground. But it's a middle ground that I've learned to now accept, because I think it's something that a lot of people want. I've accepted that people don't want to just go for an aggressive bulk anymore.
Of course.
And people want to keep in good shape year round, but you also want to add a bit of size as you go along.
Absolutely.
So you need that mix. How are you managing your lifestyle to cater for staying in good shape year round now?
I think now it's becoming it's natural to me now. I'm not having to force anything, So in the morning I'll wake up at 5:45. I'll go for my walk. I'll come back home. I'll have a shower, and then I'll carry on doing my day-to-day routine, whether it be going into town to do some consultancy, or if I've got some meetings, or if I'm focusing on the business, what the case may be. So I kind of flex it almost. But what I always do is have certain protocols in place that almost, like you like to say, non-negotiable. So I'll always make sure that I have my walk in the morning. I'll always make sure when I come home, I'll have my shower, I'll have my eggs, I'll have my spinach, I'll have my bagel. The night before, I would have already cooked my meal anyway for lunch and dinner, because I like to have it fresh rather than batch cook. And then, I'll make sure that I know if I'm going to the gym on that particular night or the following night. And if I've got meetings or I'm going out, I'll just flex it. So I'll just switch the days around. So, you've got to be organized, to have that kind of lifestyle. You've got to be quite regimented, and also be in a mindset that I cannot miss a meal. I cannot miss that. And if you do, because I have missed a meal or missed a shake, then you just make up for it the day before, the night before, or even the day before, if you know that you're going to miss it because you've got something else happening. And if you know you're going to a restaurant, I want to enjoy it. If I'm going to a restaurant, I want to enjoy it, but I'll make sure that I have a buffer, or create a buffer the day before or the day after, to make sure I compensate for the additional calories that I've had or additional food that I've eaten, for example. But for me, it's almost part of my mind. It's part of my life now, really. It's not a case of I'm having to think about it. I'm not having to guess or think about, I need to do this, I need to do that, or, so even though it's structured, it's seamless structure, if that makes sense. So even though I've got structure in place 7 days a week, it doesn't feel as if it's a structure, because it's just coming naturally to me now. And I think because I've got over that period post shoot, and now having to and still being able to manage and sustain it for this long, 6 or 9 months in, now it is part of my life now.
It's very powerful. And now it's almost like you've built in certain precursors into your day now that happen no matter what.
Yeah.
You're just on autopilot. You're going to go for a walk in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to eat protein 3 to 4 times a day.
Yeah.
You're going to manage and average out your calories throughout the week.
Sure.
If you overdo it in a couple of days, and that's just all part of it. It's just balancing it, auto-regulating, and you're learning new skills now where you're not only got a lifestyle now, but you're learning the skill of auto-regulation.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is something that takes a lot of time to learn, but it's the ability to handle your body weight without being so diligently tracking it.
Absolutely, yeah. And there's also part of it that you spent all that time and effort putting together, doing that training, whatever the case may be. that you don't want to lose it, so I wanted to sustain it as long as possible now, but I think it's almost second nature now. And it's quite funny actually, when I started going to the gym, and I used to be that guy, with my hoodie on, going in and, doing, and obviously you get to meet the regulars and whatever the case may be. So, he seems to be training, but they never saw the other side of it in terms of what I was eating, what my lifestyle was, what steps I was doing throughout the day, what other curses I had throughout the day. So the day that I took off my top, they looked at me and said, fucking, sorry. So,
go for it. Go for it.
What's happened to you? I said, well, this is what I've been doing for the last 3 months, so don't get me wrong. It does give you an ego boost, and the fact that now, even now to this day in the gym, I get people say, you're in you're in decent shape, to be honest with you, for, how do you be so lean, but also trying to bulk and still got your abs and still got definition in your arms and stuff. So it's great. And I would have never thought in a million years I'll get those kind of questions being asked by people to me, because I never stepped foot in a gym. Do you know what I mean? You see, so all these barbells and, all these different types of lifts. I didn't have a clue. Honestly, I did not have a clue. The first time you sent me that plan, I had to look at YouTube videos over and over again to make sure that I understood and, understood that particular exercise, and I could correct it in the right form and formation, what the case may be. But to get those kind of compliments on the back of it, yes, don't get me wrong, of course it gives you a bit of a boost, without a doubt, and I think if anyone said that it didn't, I think they'll be lying, because I think the physical aspect of it does massively increase your confidence. The ability to wear nice tight t-shirts as well and jumpers.
It's all coming out now.
Yeah.
That's the real reason. Take your top off in the gym.
Not. But it's all part and parcel of it, really. To be honest, But lifestyle for me is second to none now. Really, it's massively transformed me. But it was hard dedication, 24/7. Almost taking out everything what you're used to, tunnel vision, regimented, relentless, you name the word, you had to grind, and certainly last fall, I had to grind like I never grinded before. But the fact that I was able to do that, I didn't think I would be able to do it, but I did do that, then gave me the belief that actually, if I've done this, I can do anything, because it's all about mind and mindset, I think, which really gives you that ability to recognize, I think, that actually, if I need to do something, or if I need to accomplish something, I can do it. You may not be able to do it on your own, and you might need some support and guidance around you, but you can do it. And that's the beliefs I've got. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to have faith. You've got to almost back yourself. Because if you don't back yourself, no one else is going to back you. And that's very much the thought process now that I've got going forward in life now, really.
Who's your biggest mentor?
I've got a few mentors, really. I've got mentors in business. So, my first boss was one of my mentors. It's still currently my mentor now that I've worked with for the last 15 years. I'd say my family, so I think I've got mentors in different areas of life, really. So my mum and dad have always been great mentors to me in terms of right and wrong, and being courteous and, being good to people, and what the case may be. Then I've had mentors from a business perspective, which has been fantastic. And I could say to a certain extent, you've helped me a lot as well, and RNT have helped me a lot in terms of changing, the perception of food, of training, health, lifestyle as well. So I think it's a combination. I don't think I could say I've just got one mentor for one particular aspect of my life. I've got a variety of people that I would always touch on and tap on as well. And obviously, I've got my wife that I'll share everything with, who will guide me and probably keeps me, grounded. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the perfect of person. I've done silly things in the past, like I'm sure we all have, really. But ultimately, I think you keep, I always say, you work hard, keep your head down, keep your eye on the prize. And I think, things start to happen, and I think when I saw RNT, it just came up on social media, so sometimes I think things happen for a reason. And for me, it came at the right time, at the right place for me, because I don't think if I'd taken on RNT, whether it be in the first phase or the second phase, where I would be now, I do not know. I might be in a better place, I might be in a worse place, but I don't think I would be in a better place. I think I probably would have been the same or worse. So I think this as a process, as an outlet, it's given me that next step to grow as a person and in life in general, I think.
Thanks for sharing that. And that really does kind of confirms everything we're doing here and reaffirms the mission.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I think what you've created is almost a movement to a certain extent, and I look at what, people write on RNT, on the Facebook, on the social channels, all the blogs that you write. So there's so much content there, but it's almost so much engagement as well from everyone who's involved in the process, which is fantastic to see everyone's journeys. And everyone has a different take. Everyone has a different why. Everyone has a different reason for doing what they want to do. Whether it be they want to be in the best shape of their life at the at the age of 40 or 50, is because they've gone through a personal trauma, for example. Whatever the case may be, everyone will have their own why. But I think that why has to be so strong for you to almost achieve this objective of a complete transformation, physical and mentally. I think it has to be so strong. I think if you don't have that, it becomes a little bit more difficult. Not that it's unachievable, it is achievable, but I think you've got to have real determination and a real reason why you want to make this happen. And I think that's what gets you through that process, really. And that's what got me through that process, certainly the second time round.
There definitely is a need to go all in order to create the platform that you're discussing.
Yeah.
In order to have the lifestyle that you now have, you need to have that period where you're pretty much on blinders up, tunnel vision, and then you can therefore back off and make it more lifestyle driven. But they have to have that transformation first, in order to have their lifestyle.
And that's why you have to be so regimented in that period. So if you can try and alleviate any of the temptations that you potentially might have, whether it be an event or seeing something that you really want to, something that you really crave, or your favorite food that you see on the table, or you walk past in a restaurant, you have to really, really restrain yourself. And that in itself, to not almost give in mentally, is a strength in itself. If you can accomplish with the fact that you've got great, something in front of you that you've always had, that you crave, and the fact that you don't look at it even twice in itself is, in my opinion, is an accomplishment. Amazing.
What's next for Dhilon Solanki?
What's next for Dhilon Solanki? Okay, gosh, where do I start? At the moment, I'm in quite a good place, really. Certainly from a family perspective, friends, and I'm really comfortable. In terms of where I was, with the stresses, with work life, and not having the ability to spend time with friends and family and stuff. I've got that, so I'm really content with that. From a business perspective, I'm still continuing to do some consultancy. As I think, I've already started an online business with my wife, which my wife will now pursue and continue with to grow and almost give it her focus. But I've managed that for her. So I'll be sending out there'll be a whole load of social media stuff going out in the next 2 or 3 weeks that hopefully you can push out as well.
Yeah, we can put it on the show notes here.
Brilliant, I appreciate that.
Do you want to go through what it is?
No, I'll leave it for a surprise. I'll leave it for a surprise. And then I've got a few other ideas up my sleeve that I'm looking to announce later on this year as well in the hospitality space, because I am hospitality through and through. I love working with people. I love the food industry. I love the drink industry. I love the late night industry. That's in my blood. That's the way I'm built. I've never been built in the traditional, working in I've never been an academic as such, not saying that I'm thick, but I've never been an academic in terms of, being an accountant or a lawyer or, whatever the case may be, or being in finance or banking. For me, I love this part of the business in terms of giving people an experience. And that's me through and through, and that's in my blood. And I think the day that I lose my passion will be the days that I kind of hang up my boots. But I think in this industry, certainly in hospitality, is never the cash that drives you.
No.
That's almost a byproduct. You've got to have a passion for it. And that's what drives it. And I think it's almost similar to the RNT process as well. You've got to really have a passion to really wanting to achieve your goals and ambitions, because passion you can't manufacture. You either have that within you or you don't. You can't teach somebody passion. You can't teach somebody personality. So when I used to recruit, for example, for my own business and the restaurant business, I used to recruit personality, not recruit somebody who's got more experience. But you can teach somebody how to serve somebody or take an order, for example, but you can't teach somebody how to, you can't teach somebody character. That comes within, you see. So for me, it's really, really important that, these are the areas that I really want to focus on this year. For me, it's, certainly a big year for me in making some moves. I think I've got back to normality now. I know where I want to go. And it's exciting. I think, that wouldn't have been achievable if it wasn't, thanks to RNT and thanks to you, Akash, personally, because it's been, certainly a life-changing thing, really. It has been massively, massive impact. And I think my friends and family, have all kind of seen the difference in changing me for the good, obviously. Yes, physically, but also mentally as well, and how stronger I've become. When I was looking for consultancy work when I left the business, it wasn't that easy, it wasn't that hard, because people knew that I'd already had my own business. So what made them think that if I do start working with them, within 3 months, I'm going to go off and start doing my own thing again because I'm going to be bored. So I understood all those reasons, and I got a lot of knockbacks, not going to lie. I got a huge amount of knockbacks, but the more knockbacks I got, the more I wanted to stand up again and go for it again, So that's what kind of drove me for that process to, in my mind, my mindset has made me a lot stronger person. And for me to get knocked down will take a huge amount now, I think.
Amazing.
So it's been a great adventure. Certainly going to continue. Thanks to you, I appreciate all the support that you've given me and everything that we've gone through over the last couple of years. And there's only been a short period of time, really, that we've known each other. But understanding my life, my lifestyle, understanding where you're coming from, what you're trying to build as a business, I think is absolutely fantastic. The model that you have. And, I think when I said to people, that I'm obviously joining RNT and, they had the perception that, does somebody come and actually train you? I said, no, it's very much an online model, but you have 24/7 support, and the support is invaluable and fantastic. And I don't think people actually bought into that or saw that actually how can you achieve your results via this model. Yeah. And when I started, going to events and they said, Dhilon, wow, you look, very quick to put me down that, gosh, how much weight have you lost? You look skinny, you look ill, what the case may be. But the moment that shoot came out and that shoot dropped, everyone fucking wanted to know me then. Do you know what I mean? You see, so how did you do that? What did you do? How did, you see, so
there's different phases, right? First they mock you and then they ask you how.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You see, so when you're down, people no one wants to know, but when you're up, everyone wants to know. It's nature, it's life. Unfortunately, that's that's the way life works. Unfortunately, but for me, it's fantastic, and I think the people around me who've seen that transformation has certainly seen, the mental aspect, my lifestyle change for the better. It's been fantastic.
Amazing.
What you've created, bang on. And I think, obviously I've already recommended a number of people, and hopefully I can recommend a lot more people, because I think the fact that it's changed my life, it'll be great to see other people that I know to change their life as well. And I've already seen that through other people who've already joined the course via me introducing you to yourself at RNT. So that gives me huge satisfaction as well.
I really appreciate all the support that you've given, and I've seen some of your people you've referred have already embarking on their transformations.
Yes,
such as your uncle Baiju.
Yeah. He's smashing out the water. He is. Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to do really well.
Yeah. I love his food recipes and stuff.
Yeah, he's chef master. If he's listening, he'll like this. But Master Chef Baiju is what I call him.
Well, it's all my training actually.
So. Good. Let's finish up on a quick rapid fire.
Yes.
So you're obviously in the food and hospitality industry. So let's kick it off with that. Okay. What's your favorite drink?
Espresso martini.
Okay. Your favorite meal?
My favorite. Wow. Okay. Gosh. I love Oriental food. So anything Pan Asian or Chinese.
Pick one.
Pan Asian.
Okay. And the specific?
I love sushi. I love. Just Asian kind of food, really. One of my favourite restaurants that I go to quite regularly is Rocco. So that's the kind of food that I love eating.
Perfect. You mentioned also you're reading books now. What's your favorite book that you've read?
Oh gosh, I should know that. Do you know what? Plug out Beiju. Beiju, your book is bang on, mate. So I think I always good. So
I'll link in the show notes.
Yeah, please do. It's certainly a game changer, I think, which is part of the title. But the Napoleon Hill book,
Think and Grow Rich.
Yes, that's what I'm reading currently at the moment. Fantastic book. I'm only halfway through it, but yeah, great for me, to be honest with you.
Cool. And who should we have on the podcast next?
Anyone who smashed it. I mean, no, actually, do you know who I'd like to see is Dikesh on I think he's absolutely smashed it, and what he's given out there done really well. But I like to see Beiju on there as well. There are loads of people I like to see, I'm going to offend somebody now, but anyone who's had a real radical transformation that's really changed their life in any shape, or any form, it's great to hear that story, because I think other people can feed off those stories as well, and people can certainly relate to. So it's important that anyone's had a massive radical change where people can learn and feed off. I think it would be great to have.
It's on the list. It's going to happen.
Perfect. Good.
Is there anything you'd like to finish up on?
Just find, again, I think I reiterated, fantastic experience. It's probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life. And it'll be something that I'll continue now for the rest of my life. And I'll always continue to be an advocate of RNT and yourself. And I've always done that when people say, how did you do your transformation? Even to this day now, when I meet prospective clients and customers and, I'm talking to business people and we talk generally, the first thing I'll do, it comes up in conversation, show them my Instagram pictures, and that becomes a talking point, which is fantastic, because health or training or lifestyle always comes up in some sort of conversation somehow. Not that I try and channel it that way, but it does. When people say, I think the first thing I do when I go to a meet, I'll have a black coffee. So I'm having a black coffee, do you want some milk, or why have you not touched your muffin or your cookie that comes with it? I said, I'm having my black coffee, thank you. And that almost then sparks a conversation, but then that starts helping building rapport and relationship. And because it's personal as well, to try and get that empathy, from that particular person, I'll also certainly build rapport as well.
Amazing. If you enjoyed today's episode with Dhilon Solanki, and anyone else who can relate to his story and would benefit from hearing everything he's had to share today, which I think has been amazing, then please share with your family and friends and leave us a positive review. For more information, please visit www.rntfitness.com and follow us on social media at RNT_fitness. Thank you.